I don't know. I'm happy to avoid that. At the moment, I think I'm happy to avoid it at all costs, but to be totally honest, I'll probably see bits on the internet and be a bit jealous, and then, I don't know, maybe. Okay. Maybe.
I might see you in that mosh pit as well.
You might see me in the Backstreet Boys pit, you never know. Yeah.
Hello again, Metal.de Shatsies, Or here, and I have the pleasure of meeting the Sonic roller coaster, A.A. Williams, around Europe once again, bringing the emotions. I heard there's going to be a cry mosh pit later.
Oh,
it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you. I have been on tour now for, I think, about 5 and a bit weeks. So we're near the end, and, we're all humans, it's, the tiredness does creep in a little bit and the lethargy keeps in. But actually by, about now, by kind of, after sound check and stuff, everyone's up and ready to go and feeling good. So I'm looking forward to tonight and, only a few shows left, but it's going to be great.
Well, I'm very excited. I love the albums and I'm really excited for the new sound. We have 2 singles out that follow as the moon resets from 2022. It feels like it's been a long time since we got some new stuff. So we're going to talk about it in a second.
Sure.
But I feel like since that was released in 2022, you had a massive ride. Amazing tours. You made it to the US twice already, headliner as well. Supported so many, collaborated, so many great stuff. What is the biggest memory from As the Moon Resets so far?
Oh my goodness. I mean, as you say, there's a lot has happened. And I think, it's hard to remember what happens when sometimes, you make a record and in everyone's mind, that album came out at a certain time and that's the beginning. But you remember that, there's a year or so of building this and all this, the thinking about it and the writing. And actually, just to kind of, these times kind of blur into each other a little bit. So it's hard to remember exactly what is an As the Moon Rests kind of thing. But I mean, the Sleep Token tour we did in America in 2023, that was a pretty phenomenal experience to be offered that, and also to be able to perform in the States for the first time and to have, beautiful accepting rooms of people to play to every day was a real joy. So that was probably one of the kind of pinnacle moments of that album cycle.
So can I assume that because things were so lovely, so positive, it was difficult to write about the darkness? That's why it took us a few years to wait for new dark sounds?
There's always darkness in here, I'm afraid. It's just that, as silly as it sounds, I'm not great at writing when I'm on tour. Writing and any sort of creative process for me, I delve straight in and I have to just focus on just that and I just give it everything I have. And that's great when you don't have anything else to do. But if you're on tour or you're traveling around and you're working, it's hard for me to do both at the same time. So by the time we returned from the Sleep Token tour, we had another tour that Christmas. We did a co-headline with a band called Calandra. And then 2024 was predominantly writing the record and starting to kind of piece things together. It's not 2024. Sorry, I'm thinking backwards. Sorry, I've got
25?
25, yeah. It was starting to write music and, kind of starting to record things and starting to kind of glue new things together. So it's taken a while, but really just because writing takes time, not because there was kind of a need for a break as such.
Do you feel like there's a specific mood or vibe that makes you feel more creative? Like if you need to complete the sentence, I write best or most when I am, what would be that word?
I would just say relaxed, not trying to do anything else, not stressed out about anything, just free to take time and express myself. And sometimes I manage it fast and sometimes it takes a while, but not having external stresses makes it a lot simpler.
I heard that sometimes unfinished songs wake you up at night.
Oh, God.
Do you have a notepad next to your bed or a recorder?
It's my voice notes on my phone. There's hundreds of them on there, and every now and then I have to go through and delete some because I just don't understand what I've done. I've just kind of woken up and kind of press the button, and that was it. And at the time, it made loads of sense, but in reality, there's nothing that I can understand out of that, so just go delete. But yeah, there's lots of folders of kind of just little ideas and sketches and stuff. But I think probably anybody who makes any art does that, be it a sketchbook or a notepad or something. So.
And I've recently heard a phrase, I don't know if it's you can point it to somebody specific, but I heard that happy people write bad songs.
Oh.
What do you think about that?
I mean, they might write great songs, but they might not be they might not have the emotional depth, perhaps. And I think that a lot of people seek that in the songs that they listen to. So I couldn't qualify whether they write bad songs or not, but perhaps not the kind of songs that I need.
And I've heard you mention it, I think you've already kind of touched on that while we talk, about always having that darkness inside of you. And the debut album, Forever Blue, mm-hmm. Do you still feel that? I also heard that you never listen to happy songs voluntarily.
Not.
So is that still a thing?
No, I don't really. Not happy per se. I mean, there's a lot of very beautiful music I listen to, but I tend to reserve that for particular times because I know it sounds a bit silly, and I guess this is something that I think some of my listeners might relate to, but certain songs just make me really emotional, and sometimes that's not easy to control when you're out in public or in a bus or at a gig and that song comes on or whatever, and it's just a bit much. And so, those lovely, beautiful things are just reserved for the time where I can allow myself to feel that without worrying about having to do other things or being in a space where I don't feel comfortable to feel that. So, it's not that I don't listen to happy music, but music makes me happy. It's the other way around.
And what do you feel about the genres around us bending? And I feel, so please feel free to correct me, that gatekeepers are kind of fading away. Heavy festivals like Bloodstock and Wacken open up to even pop-punk bands.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you feel like that's changing? Either the younger generation or the older generation is a bit more open to the non-purist view? I mean, something I really like about your music is that it doesn't really fit to a specific box. It's dark lyrically, heavy sometimes more melodic, and I don't know what to expect, and I love that.
Good.
But I feel like some people might not know what to do with that. I also don't really know what to expect from the crowd tonight, because I don't know if there is going to be a majority of one style or anything. So do you feel like things are changing around us, or am I just being too optimistic?
I think they must be. I mean, bear in mind that I've not been doing this that long from a performance point of view. My first show was 2019, and so from there, then we had a pandemic, obviously, and then, then we moved into kind of, trying to build a career out of this. And so during the time that I've done that, audiences have always been incredibly respectful to what I'm doing, and there's been very little criticism in terms of, oh, it's not metal, it's not this, it's not that, whatever. Like, people sometimes ask, and I think, well, why is there a reason you think this should be metal in the first place? I don't know why. Like, for what reason? Someone's like, oh, why have you been, why do people call you this? Why do people say, I don't know. But does it matter that they do? Or do you know what I mean? I don't really understand what people are expecting, I think. And so I'm not sure they do either, really. But to me, it's never really been too much of a bother. I just write the music that I enjoy. And I think the only way that it greatly influences me is when I'm writing, I sometimes think to myself, oh, do I need to make this heavier? Do I need to change what I'm doing? Think, no, hang on. This whole thing has been born from you just making music that you like to write. So keep doing that, because that combination of elements has grabbed onto people somehow, and they're into what you're doing, and you don't change it enough that it's going to alienate those people. So as long as that I'm doing that, and that's as far as I get with thinking about genre and stuff. I have listened to a huge amount of different music across, ever since I was a teeny person. I've listened to all sorts of different things. And so when I make music, I don't think to myself, I'm going to have a quiet section and a classical section and a heavy section. I just write what I love, and I love all of that stuff, and it all ends up getting amalgamated. And it never once dawned on me that somebody might go, well, I like the heavy bit but not the quiet bit. And if that's how they feel, then fine, maybe I'm not the person to listen to, but it's been very cool to be kind of taken under the wing of the heavy music community, because I think there is weight in what I do lyrically, in terms of the speed, in terms of the tunings, in terms of the kind of slow-mo kind of sludginess to some of it, which is, yes, accompanied by a kind of beauty that sits with it, but you don't really always need just one of those things. You can have both at the same time, and I think people see enough of what they enjoy in other artists in what I do, that they think, I'll have a try of that, and then they come and they see a show and they get it. And so, whether people are kind of becoming more flexible with those boundaries of genre, I don't know. I think people are just starting to go, I just like what I like. It doesn't matter what it's called, and that's a good thing.
Well, I'm happy that you see the same movement. And also, do you feel welcome and supported by the scene and friends around us?
Always.
And I'm hoping that's going to motivate you to create more and stick around and come and visit us more often.
I'd love that.
I love that. I was wondering, you've also mentioned in the past that you describe yourself as a shy person, maybe even an introvert. That some people say that needs to change. I've seen all those posts of how introverts could be more outgoing, which is a weird statement to begin with.
You know what? Everyone has this idea that certain personality types or certain personality traits are for some reason not as desirable to have as others. It's like, why on earth would I want to be an extrovert? I have no desire to hear my voice at that volume on a bus. Do you know what I mean? Or to be that class clown guy, or to be, the life and soul of the party. I don't need to be that.
I feel like a lot of introverts and shy people find themselves as the front person of a band. So I was wondering if things change.
You do wonder how these things
so
happen.
often.
I haven't got...
So did it change?
No, I think I've not really got a clue of how I managed to do this, because if you'd have told me that this was what I was going to be doing, I would have laughed and left the room. Like, it wasn't on my radar in the slightest. The idea of singing to people full stop was just petrifying, let alone the idea of doing it down a microphone, like amplified in front of people. Like, this was just absolutely not feasible, not possible. So the only reason I ever started was because I wanted to learn the guitar, and I thought, well, I'll try and write some songs, because I didn't really fancy just learning other people's riffs. So I thought, well, if I try and write some songs, then maybe that'll teach me the guitar a little bit better. And, and I thought, well, I might as well. I just started kind of fiddling around and kind of playing with my voice, which I'd never done before, ever. I just was frightened of it. I just didn't want to explore it because it's too raw, it's too personal, and it's a very kind of naked thing to do. It's a very exposed thing to sing to a person. So it just didn't dawn on me at all that it would be something I'd ever be comfortable with. And slowly but surely it became a really enjoyable way of expressing myself. And then the microphone got involved, and then stepping on stage in front of people got involved, and it was very, very gradual. But, it feels, that's my, we were just in soundcheck talking about how as soon as, when we do the soundcheck, we turn our lights on and make sure everything's set and focused as best as it can be. And the minute those lights go on, it's such a safe space up there. It's so comfortable for me, because I've got my guys, I've got my stuff, we've got this kind of controlled environment. And yes, the thing that changes every day is the audience. But they've always been so kind and so embracing and so respectful of what I'm trying to convey. The mood, the vibe, the music, all of it. They just come and kind of immerse themselves in this world with me. And it doesn't feel pressured. It just feels like a kind of shared introvert experience. Does that make sense? Introverts hanging out with
I've never done that. It scares me.
Introverts hanging out with other introverts is basically what we've created here, and I love it. And I don't know how, but it's a good thing.
It sounds amazing, and it's going to be my first time seeing you on stage tonight, so I'm really excited.
I'm excited for
I have no idea what to expect, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
I really hope it feels good for you, because it's interesting. I mean, every evening after the show, I come out and just hang out at Merch for a little bit, have a glass of wine and have a chat to people. It's just nice to meet people a little bit. And it seems that unwittingly, and kind of certainly without a plan to do so, what happens at these shows is that people just kind of leave everything else at the front door and just come and immerse themselves in this little smoky kind of slow motion world for an hour and a bit, and just let themselves feel whatever that needs to be for them that day, and it could be they could stand there and have a little cry, they could have a dance, they could have the best fucking time, and it just depends on the person, it depends on the day for them, but it's a safe space to come and do whatever that is, and I love that so much. And I didn't set out to make that, but every day I talk to people and they're like, it's just like, oh, this terrible thing happened, oh, I feel like this, and I come to the show and I just let it all go and just kind of float with everything. And it's just such a lovely thing to be able to be that for other people. So I hope that you can see that tonight and kind of experience that too.
I have a feeling it will happen, so I'm really excited for that.
Get prepared.
Yeah, I've already got some tissues.
Oh,
so
what? The crying at shows is not like a hugely prevalent thing. It's like every now and then you see it, and that's fine. It's not like it happens every day or anything. But the fact that people feel comfortable to do it in itself is just pretty special, I think.
Well, that's the reason why I don't go and see Alanis Morissette. I'm scared it's going to get me too hard.
That's why
but tonight might be the night.
That's why I don't listen to This Will Destroy You in public. That's exactly the same thing, because my brain starts going to places, and then, especially when it's instrumental music, because there is no words to influence your emotion, and you just let yourself take wherever, and before you know it, you're... And it's not because it's sad, it's because it's beautiful and you're just processing a lot of stuff.
And maybe you just needed it. Yeah. A good cry.
Always. Oh, yeah. Always. Nothing wrong with that at all.
I'm going to take a wide lefter now.
Go for it.
But talking about feeling that rawness and maybe even nakedness on stage, I feel like social media demands us to be more raw, to share more of our lives. Labels are asking that. You recently signed with RPM. Yeah. I was wondering, what's your relationship with that? Are you scared of taking the next step? I feel like with more announcement, you might be demanded to do more of that, because so far your content is mostly about the music, some interviews, not a lot of here's me eating pasta.
Well, that's the thing is I do wonder whether anybody is remotely interested in me eating pasta. And I'm not sure they are, really. And it was a funny thing. I noticed this when we had the pandemic and we had the lockdown. And, you know, obviously a lot of artists were suddenly scrambling for things to do because tours had been cancelled, albums been... Suddenly there's this fucking hole emerges in the world, and we're all sucked into it and nobody knows what to do, right?
But even now, I feel like it got worse, that bands, musicians need to be much more than just music creators.
But what I mean by that is when the pandemic hit, all of the mystique and vibe and aesthetic that everybody has spent years building was pulled on immediately by the fact that they all started doing cover versions of things in their fucking kitchen, and suddenly all of this vibe has disappeared. And so you spend all this effort putting together something specific that's a kind of an aura for your project, and then you start posting pictures of your breakfast and absolutely annihilate. That does not make sense to me as a smart move. You know, it just doesn't work for me. So
what was the pressure around you to share more?
There was, and so I made those songs from isolation, which was my version of controlling that information. And I thought, well, I want this to sound good, I want it to look good, and I want it to be as good as it can be given the fact that I'm making this myself in my house with limited equipment. Like, my manager was saying to me, oh, do a live thing. It's like, no, because I don't know if it's going to look good. I have no control over it. If I'm singing and something goes wrong, I don't even know it's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I can't fix it. I can't do anything. So my compromise was, I'll film stuff. It's a live recording, but I'll film it. I'll do multicam, and then I'll cut it together, and then I'll put it out properly, rather than it's an actual live thing. Because it was just an easier way of me having it fit the vibe. And so now, I mean, there's a pressure. Pretty much once a month somebody asks me about TikTok, and the thing with TikTok is I understand that it's a tool that everybody wants to try and use. I get that, like the possibility of reaching that many people is insane. The thing I cannot figure out is what kind of content anybody would want at all from me that isn't music. Because the thing is, TikTok isn't really designed for here's a 3-minute version of this, or here's an acoustic version of that. It's like a full song. It's 30-second snippets, right? So what on earth am I going to give people in 30 seconds that is interesting, informative, whatever, cool, but doesn't kill the vibe, doesn't kill the aesthetic, and actually is kind of valuable to people as well as me? Like, I don't really know. I mean, I'll happily do it if anybody can figure out what that is. Because, like, even thinking of, I just do, like, playthroughs of my songs. Great, then what do I do when I've run out of songs? Then what? Do you know what I mean? And I can't figure out, I'm not going to sit and just talk to a camera about how my day was. Because I'm not really sure anybody's interested if I went to Sainsbury's.
I feel like that's what a lot of bands are struggling with, that
it's really
the kind of content, the music-related content runs out, so they do funny bits or anything else.
And then the funny bit is the thing that gets the traction, and then they have to do more funny bits, and then the soul just falls out the bottom.
But I feel like that's the reality around us. Whether musicians like it or not, a lot of people fall into that trap, that becomes a reality.
That's the thing. And I mean, I am, as I say, I'm so willing to utilize this tool if I can figure out a way of doing it. But right now, I've not I had a grand idea of trying to do like, kind of use it as like a journaling kind of space and do a tour diary, and I literally just didn't have time. I kind of had an intention of posting every couple of days, and it just literally never happened because there's just so much work on tour that it's not feasible, because making content isn't quick either. It's not like you just sit down, chat, post, done. That's like, gotta edit it and fiddle with the sound and make it look nice and da. Before you're done, that's a couple of hours of your day gone. And so anything more involved, like musical stuff or performance video, takes ages and it's expensive. So maybe answers on a postcard, if anybody can figure out what I might be doing that would be good.
Let's talk about something that you like a bit more.
Yeah.
New music, as we said, As the Moon Rests was released in 2022.
Yep.
We got 2 new recent singles, Wolves as Just a Shadow.
Yes.
What can you tell us about those 2? What can you tell us about the future?
Mm-hmm.
Can we say album already?
I think we can say the word album.
Okay.
I would say that information on that's coming soon in terms of time frame and such. So by the time this interview goes out, I think that information will be available, or it will be imminently available. But there will be an album coming. Those 2 songs are, for me, the beginning of exploring things that I haven't really tried before, more so musically, in terms of musical styles or textures that I've always wanted to explore, but just haven't had the time, and that's part of the reason that the kind of, there has been that gap between As the Moon Rests and now, is that basically all of last year I was recording, because there wasn't a time a kind of deadline given. Mm-hmm. And because of that, there was freedom to explore and freedom to do things in a lovely way, which was really nice. And freedom to try new working methods as well, and all of this stuff. So those 2 songs for me are representing a kind of slight shift, and it's not the lyrical content, it's not the emotional content, it's the kind of intention of the project as a whole is just kind of clarifying itself a little bit, I think, and I'm pleased about that.
Any surprising collaborations you can already wink at?
Oh, I haven't done one. Okay. There is no collab on the new record, but I'm all open to suggestion if somebody wants to. People are always welcome to get in touch. I do enjoy doing them, so there's no sneaky collabs on there, I'm afraid.
Okay, and with a wink to the covers that you released during the isolation period that I adore. They sound amazing. I really enjoyed that. So and it kind of took me by surprise the first time I heard them. Like, I kind of know this song, but it sounds so much different, and I love it. Yeah. So I think that a lot of your fans already know that you came from like the classical side of music and then started finding the darker side. But I don't know if a lot of your fans know about one of your earlier loves, and the band is coming back, the Backstreet Boys. Any reactions to that? They're touring Europe this summer.
Oh my goodness.
Are you going to be there? Are they going to be at one of your shows, collaborations?
You know what? I saw a friend of mine went to see them in Vegas, and I saw all of these Instagram stories of them performing and all this ridiculous merchandise, and just, it's so over the top, and everything is like that funny baby blue color that they used to do, and it just, I don't know. I'm happy to avoid that. At the moment, I think I'm happy to avoid it at all costs, but to be totally honest, I'll probably see bits on internet and be a bit jealous, and then, I don't know, maybe.
I might see you in that mosh pit as well.
You might see me in the Backstreet Boys pit. You never know.
Okay, but Place a Week will definitely see you. You were just announced as a support for 4 shows with a Perfect Circle around Europe in June. Mm-hmm. You're going to be playing Mystic Fest and Ankea Fest in June as well. Then July, Resurrection Fest in Spain, ArcTanGent in the UK in August, and Brutal Assault. Yeah. Any more surprises? You coming back as a headliner?
I hope so. I mean, as your watchers, your viewers will probably know, I'm on tour at the moment. And so because I'm in the middle of a tour, I think until I'm finished with this, any plans for future will kind of, whatever happens next will be based on what's just happened on this tour, on the success of certain territories and tickets and things like that. So hopefully soon enough, plans will start to be kind of made for future things. I'm asking to do as much as I can now because there has been that break, and I've been so very envious of all my friends going out on tour, and I see all my pals who are in bands and who work for other artists just going out and doing great festivals and great tours, and I've been so itching to get out again. So this has been a really beautiful way of kind of coming back into the world of live shows, but I don't really want to stop now. So hopefully there will be stuff in the autumn and into next year.
Well, we will be there. The mighty, talented, and warm A.A. Williams. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Love the sounds. Cannot wait to see you on stage. Anything else you want to say to fans out there before we say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you because, like you say, there's been a bit of a break, but it's really lovely to come back out on tour and see the support that it's not gone away. Do you know what I mean? It's not gone away. It's grown. People are bringing their friends. People are bringing their kids. I'm starting to get excitable teenagers at shows, and it's one of the most glorious things because I remember being that person. And I remember yesterday we had a performance in Berlin yesterday, and there were these two sweet girls there, and who I reckon maybe 14, 15 years old. And they just they queued up at merchandise afterwards to say hi, and they just could not speak. They were so full of giggles and nerves and just ultimate teenage energy. And it was the sweetest thing because I never imagined in the whole world that I would have that crowd as well. And it's really glorious to see the audience grow. And as I say, for dads to be bringing their young girls to shows is a really cool thing. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for letting us in and inviting all of us and sharing more of your music. Even though sometimes you're a bit of an introvert and shy person, but we love that you're here. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.